All right, welcome to part 2 of Train the Trainer on Make Your Vision a Reality. And so for this portion of class, we're going to be outlining our strategies for success. I like to start it off with this wonderful quote by Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Okay, so with this quote, I tell a story. Okay, I tell a story about my son who is a boxer, and he started boxing when he was 6. Let me rephrase that. He started training for boxing when he was 6, but to be a registered U.S. boxer, you have to be the age of 8. And to compete in U.S. boxing competitions, you have to be 8. So he started off training when he was 6, and that first year, he trained for approximately 200 hours that year, and he trained for 1 full year before he had his first sparring session. So not an official U.S. boxing fight, but sparring. And when he got in there to spar, he had all the moves. He could move like a professional. Like he had it down. He knew what to do. Physically, he could do it. But it wasn't until the fight started and he got punched in the face that I thought the whole show was going to stop. He got punched in the face. Of course, the kid got him right in the nose. And when you get hit in the nose, your face kind of goes numb for a second before the pain sets in, but your eyes water up. You can't see. Your nose starts hurting. Your whole face is hurting. And a fighter is either going to experience the fight or flight. Okay, that's where fight or flight really comes from. Are you going to get in and fight, or are you going to run? Of course, my son, only being the age of 7 at the time, starts crying. And I'm telling him, no, get back in there and fight. We're not stopping the fight. You've got to get in there and fight. But the whole fight went downhill from there because that totally threw him off of his game. I want realtors to be prepared for the punch in the face from the market. My son then started some other strategies. He started changing his strategies and realizing, look, I've been working on the punching part. I've been working on the hitting part, but I need to focus more now on the defensive side and keeping my hands up and moving my head and trying not to get punched in the face. But his strategies changed a little bit. And he increased his training and he went back to fighting. Okay? So what realtors need to understand with this is, are you a fight or flight person, and do you have strategies that will adapt to your business? Okay? When you start talking about adapting to business, I want you to help people understand when the market shifts, the vital activities that you've been doing to generate leads might have to change as well. For example, if we're moving from a heavy seller's market to a buyer's market, we have a lower inventory of properties for sale. If you start having a harder time finding the open houses to hold, then you might need to look for a different lead generating activity. Okay. Also, when a realtor is entering in the stages of their business to develop a team, they need to redevelop their strategies. If I'm working heavy listing side and I'm getting so many sign calls that I'm letting buyers fall through the cracks, that's my aha moment of, wait, I need to add a buyer's agent to my team. I need to look for someone to refer buyers to if you want to stick with the listing side. Okay, because nothing generates more business than having a sign in the yard. You get a sign in the yard, you're going to get all these buyer calls, you start generating more business. Never leave money on the table. If you're not calling all of those buyers back or those potential clients back, refer those leads to somebody else and collect a referral fee. But you need to have strategies that will adapt with your business. For this portion of class, we're going to go over the vital activities and what a realtor should be doing to generate business, whether it's a business of referrals or it's a brand new lead generating activities. Okay, so this information is in their handout. And what you want people to do is go through this list and say, okay, select as many activities on this list that fit your personality that you're comfortable with doing. The more I can do, the better. So I want to select 5 or 6 activities that I am comfortable with doing, I like doing, I know I'm going to do it to the best level, best of my ability because it's something I enjoy. Select as many as you can, but I want you to be thinking the direction of adding one activity that will help you grow. So a good example to use is I taught this class to a small group of realtors, and the realtors in that class, they all had 10 plus years in the business, some of them 15, 20 years in the business. In fact, it was the women who had the 15, 20-year experience that said, we are starting to add in some different lead generating activities to our business because our referral business is changing. It's shifting because they were working with clients that they had been working with for 20 years. They had those referrals, that referral-based business built on a group of people who were in a long-term home that were not going to be moving anytime soon. In fact, they said several of their clients have already said that we're in our forever home, we're never moving again. They might get some referral business from those individuals, but it was starting to become a little more thin because those people, the business they would normally refer, were friends of theirs or were also in their forever home. Okay, so that's something for people to think about. Your business might be booming right now with referrals, but you don't want to hit a time when, now I'm not getting as many referrals from that group of people because their situation in life has changed. Now I need to start really, truly lead generating. Okay. And another point that I like to make when talking about these lead generation activities is there's a really successful realtor in the Austin area. He's a broker associate with RE/MAX. His name is Stuart Sutton. And he runs a very successful team. He's been a high producer or a top producer for years, and he has a very successful team. But Stuart made a point in one of my classes one day, and it was all about marketing, and people were asking Stuart, well, why are you making such an effort to generate these brand new leads? Don't you have a great business of referrals? And he said, yeah, I do. I personally do. But I'm a team lead. My job is to provide leads to my team. In this business, and this is how he said, in this business, you can never stop lead generating. When you stop lead generating, your business will drop. When you get busy and you say, I was too busy to lead generate that month, that's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt you later. It may not hurt you right now, but you're going to feel it in 3 months. If you stop lead generating now, give it a few months. It's going to hit you hard. And then what's difficult is it takes several more months to get that going again. Okay, so I want you to read through these lead generating activities and give examples because there are going to be people in your classes that have never heard of pot buys. They're going to say, a pot pie? What's a pot pie? Well, you can give a pot pie for a pot buy if you want to, but here's what a pot buy is. Explain some of the Buffini styles of nurturing your sphere, nurturing your current clients to gain referrals. Talk about these and have good examples. You should spend a good portion of time talking about these activities. Even talking about the just listed, pending, sold. When you have brand new agents, they're going to say, well, great, I would love to do just listed, pending, and sold marketing, but I don't have any listings right now, so how do I do that? Well, have you talked to your broker about how they operate their office? And do they encourage agents to advertise other agents' listings? As long as we're with the same broker, the broker owns that listing. If the broker's saying, yeah, advertise it, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, Put it out there wherever you want to say, hey, we have a new listing. We do have a new listing. You're part of our office. We want you to sell that listing just as much as we want anybody else to sell that listing. Okay, so it gives some examples on how they can leverage off of some of their office listings. Talk to the class about social media posts and how to leverage off of social media posts into personal messages. It's not just social media. If I see on social media that somebody had a grandchild, hey, first grandbaby, here's pictures of our first grandbaby, you can like the post, you can comment on the post. But you're not doing your full job until you pick up the phone and you call that person and say, hey, I wanted to say congratulations on your new grandbaby. If you have their mailing address, you better send them a card. Okay? Or you make the phone call and you say, hey, I just realized I don't have your mailing address. I'd love to send you something. What's your mailing address? If you don't have their phone number, send them a personal message through social media, not a comment on the post. Take the time to send a personal message, congratulate them, say, hey, I'd really like to send you something. What's your mailing address? And let me get your phone number too. Okay? So it gives examples on how to use these different activities. Talk about things like open houses. What all do you need to do in open houses? Are people doing door knocking? Are you being strategic about your door knocking? Have you taken our open house class? Oh, you can take your open house to a whole nother level if you take our open house class. Talk about newsletters. What should be contained in a newsletter? How much of that should be fun versus business? Who would you send the newsletter out to? Oh, I love when we get to welcoming neighbors to the neighborhood. Now, welcoming new neighbors into your neighborhood. Is anybody doing that? Did you know that you can go onto the tax record search and matrix and pull a list of who had a closing this past month? Who closed on a home in the past month in your neighborhood? Did you take them a welcome basket? You should. Okay. Social events. When it gets to social events, I don't want to put that this is just outside of real estate social events. It's not. I'm going to give you a good example of why it's not. Attend as many social events as you possibly can and get face-to-face with people and gain business. Social events with the public are great, but so are social events with other realtors. And here's how you do it. I had an agent in my class who has had her license for less than a year. And when it came to the social events, she shared with us what she was doing with her social events. She said, you know what, you guys, I've had my license for less than a year, and I had 4 closings last month that were referrals from other realtors. Do what? You did what? 4 closings in 1 month that were referrals from other realtors? Of course, everybody said, well, how did you do that? She said, well, I attended social events for realtors in other cities. What? Light bulbs going off. Why am I not doing this? She was going to Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas and attending realtor events, whether it was a TAR or NAR event or just something sponsored by one of the local boards, so that she could meet realtors who were referring business into the Austin area. I know realtors who network with other realtors in California. If I can give a referral to an agent in California, heck yeah, all day long. I know a realtor who his highest commission paid one year, I don't even remember what year it was, but his highest commission paid 1 year was a referral fee to an agent in California. You want to know what that referral fee was? $30,000. $30,000 to call up an agent in California and make a good match for his client. Okay, so social events are not just public social events, include some realtor social events in other areas. Great, great, great idea. Okay, marketing to expired listings. What can you do with that? Give them some ideas on what works. My biggest thing with those is do not do the phone calls for expired listings. Don't pick up the phone and call expired. Don't do it. do your due diligence, number one, and make sure that property isn't relisted under another agent. It wasn't relisted with the same agent. Don't just take it at face value that listing is expired. Do your work in making sure it wasn't relisted with a different MLS number. And go to the property and take them a packet of information on, maybe you can identify why the property didn't sell, what were some of the factors that they needed to consider, and here's how I can make your property sell. I'm going to take you a packet of information instead of calling, because they're annoyed with calls, trust me. Marketing for sell by owners. Come up with some clever ideas on marketing to for sell by owners. Make it a little different. Think outside of the box, because it's not, for me, it's not about wanting to represent that owner. They don't want representation. I want to represent your buyers. I want to bring you buyers. Okay? Website leads and cold calls. I want to explain this a little bit, because people are like, oh, I don't want to work those leads. I don't want to do cold calls. Okay? But I want to explain this just a little bit because there is value in it. I know two agents who, they're under the same broker and they work together a lot, but one is doing website leads and the other one's doing cold calls. And I talked to both of these agents while developing this class because I wanted some input from them. And so the agent who's working the online leads, the website leads, he's using Zillow leads. Okay, but he is getting good qualified leads. But here's the thing, and he's not the only one who's told me this. I contacted other agents to find out what they're spending on Zillow leads to make it successful. He had a very successful year from these leads, but he said in order to get good Zillow leads, good convertible Zillow leads, it takes about $2,000 a month. Now for him, he didn't bat an eye on it because his closings are more than making up for that $2,000 a month. He said it's been a good investment for him. Now, when I talked to Jeremy about his cold calls, I said, well, wait a minute. I know your buddy Anthony is doing website leads. Why did you choose cold calls over website leads? Now, Jeremy started his business with cold calls. From day one, he was very diligent in this activity. He does cold calls 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day, all day. Okay? But he is successful with it. I said, okay, well, why are you still doing the cold calls instead of website leads? He said, well, it's simple, Leslie. I want to work with sellers. I want listings. I don't want to work with any buyers because buyers take more time. While I'm driving a buyer around in my car to look at houses, I could be gaining 3 new listings. I was like, oh, good point. Your website leads are typically buyers or leases. Okay, almost 100% of what you're going to get from Zillow leads are going to be buyers. He said, you know what? He said, I don't even take the buyers when I'm cold calling. If I find somebody who wants to buy, I refer it to another agent and I collect a referral fee. So I can move on to my next call and secure a listing. He said, I want listings only. And 100% of his business is listings. Okay, and he's successful. So think about really encourage people to add in some activities that are outside of the box. And what's crazy is what you think is easy, somebody else might be adverse to. Social events. There are a lot of agents who you think, oh, everybody's social, right? All agents are social. Nope, there's some that 100% don't want to do social events. Push them to do it. Encourage them to do it. Have other people in class encourage them to do it. You might even take the time during this portion to ask people, I want you each to go around the room and name one of these activities that you would love to do and one that you would hate. Okay? And I love it when people are going to these classes with somebody else they know because they'll encourage each other. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay? So spend some time on this activity. Have them go through the booklet. Have them circle what they love doing. Have them circle something that they hate doing, but they're going to add to their business because they know it will help them grow. There is no growth without discomfort. I love that quote. It is so true. There is no growth without discomfort. You're going to be uncomfortable for a minute, but then you're going to get past it and you're going to grow your business. Love it. Then from this portion, we're going to jump into the single page business plan. There's a copy of the single page business plan in their booklet. However, we are also going to send to them a PDF version so that they can type onto it so that they'll have both. But with the business plan, what they're doing, and I explained this was not my idea. I didn't come up with this on my own, okay? There's a website that I really like for training material called therealestatetrainer.com. And there's a coach that runs that website, of course, a realtor, real estate coach who runs the website, but he provides a lot of free material. And I based this concept on his one-page business plan. I just changed mine up a little bit. Okay. Now, the gentleman that has this website, therealestatetrainer.com, he really based the single-page business plan off of the concepts from the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. Okay, so The One Thing by Gary Keller is all about identifying the one goal that you have for that day, for that week, for that month, for that year, and making sure you're accomplishing that one big goal. The reason we want this on one page is because we want it to be easy for them to post in their workspace, to have with them on a daily basis, and be looking at this and paying attention to it and saying, did I accomplish what I needed to accomplish today? Now, the way they fill out the single page business plan is they're going to put their annual goal at the top, whether it's a dollar amount or a number of transactions. I went with obviously a number of transactions because you might have one really great closing, like the referral, the $30,000 referral, that puts you at the mark of the income you wanted to make. However, you never stopped lead generating. So you need to continue working. You need to continue with your goals and just do better. Then from this main goal, you're going to set 3 priorities to help you hit this goal. My 3 priorities on the example, and this example is in their booklet. The example says our priorities are lead generation, client retention, and systems and processes. I need to improve my systems and processes. I need to make sure I'm maintaining my relationship with my clients, and client retention also gets into referrals. Okay, so I want you to think about that. It's not just pure lead generation, it's referrals as well. Okay, and then I have my pure lead generation as one of my priorities. Then for each priority, you're going to have 5 strategies on how to accomplish that priority. So for lead generation, I have 5 strategies of open house, farming. I put my hood only because neighborhood cut off. Farming my hood, social events, social media. Okay, utilizing social media. And then for sell by owners. Then under client retention, my examples are Buffini. I put Buffini, or you could put Buffini style. You could put whatever you want there. But I want to hit several of the Buffini methods, not just one. I'm not going to put one for each strategy. Nope, it's phone calls to my sphere. It's handwritten notes to my sphere. It's face-to-face with past clients, etc. Okay, so I'm doing Buffini style. But what I want you to notice is under each strategy, there is a list of activities. This is my plan. This is really the plan to accomplish the strategy. So, for example, for open house, I need to do 1 a week. That's what my goal was, to do 1 a week. I want to find the open house and start marketing it 7 days prior to the open house. 7 days prior. That's important. People need to come to the open house class. I'm going to market via the MLS and social media. I'm also going to do mail outs, and I'm going to do door knocking, and I'm going to make sure I have my branded signs. They're branded to me, not just my company. I want branded open house signs. The directional signs, I want them branded. I want all of it branded. Okay? So with each strategy, they need an action plan. What is my action plan? Okay? They might have time to start on this in class, but they aren't going to have enough time to finish it in class. So they will have some homework with this part of the activities, but if they can get started on it, that would be great. There's a really good example in the handout. And then I'm going to have some systems and processes as my last set of strategies. And these are strategies that all agents should make sure that they have secured and in place. Now, of course, once they complete one of these activities, if I say, okay, testimonials, I want to create a request for testimonials that would be sent via email 1 week prior to closing. Okay. If I create the request for testimonials and I have something created, then I need to make sure that I'm implementing that into my checklist and saying, did I send the request for a testimonial? Okay, here I have an option, or I have a strategy for checklist, creating a checklist, whether it's a list to close or a contract to close. Do you have checklists in place? Once you complete that and you start using your checklist, you can mark that off, and then I'm adding a new strategy. I should always have 5 strategies going at all times. But explain, once you complete this strategy, add a new strategy. You need to always be developing these plans and changing them. Okay. Then we're going to end with talking about our daily framework. I've tried moving away from calling this time blocking because people don't like the terms time blocking, but what I say is, okay, throughout the class, we've been developing our foundation. Okay, and we've got a good foundation, but now it's time to develop some framework. And this schedule that you're seeing is not a schedule that I just came up with on my own. I researched top producing realtors' daily schedule, and here's what I found. I also held a mastermind for top producers and confirmed with those top producers, how are you running your day? What do you do? What does your day look like? And every single one of them had a similar day lined out. Now, here's the kicker that a lot of people don't like. I asked those top producers to tell me, on average, what time of day do they get up in the morning? And every single top producer in that room, and I had, I had about 15 top producers. Every single one of them, their answer was somewhere between the hour of 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. None of them, not one of them, got up after 6 a.m. Okay, why? Because you get so much more accomplished at the beginning of the day for most people. When I was running accountability groups, it pained me the number of people who couldn't show up by 10 o'clock in the morning. And I would get things like, oh, well, I had Pilates this morning, so I went to my Pilates first. That's why I'm late. No, ma'am. You should have rethought your Pilates class. You need to go at a different day, at a different time. You need to change something up, or we need to do a different accountability day. I don't want an excuse of Pilates got in the way of your accountability. Okay? That's when they would be kicked out of the group. But the top producers did not give any excuses. They showed up, and they showed up on time, period. Some agents say, I've had a few say, oh, well, I didn't get here on time because I slept in because I was up until 2 a.m. working. My question for them is, okay, great. Are you working with clients overseas? And they look at me like I have lost my mind. No. Why would you ask me that? Oh, because I'm just trying to figure out who you're working with at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you know what usually their answer is? Oh, but I'm catching up on emails. I'm catching up on paperwork. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so let's think about restructuring this framework, and you're going to do that work in the morning instead. Okay, some people will push back on this. Some will embrace it. I've had some agents. I had one agent in particular in one of my classes arguing with me about the business servicing time. Notice the business servicing time is meant for returning emails, texts, calls, servicing listings, buyers, pending transactions. That's your paperwork time. That's your catch-up time. That's answering questions. Maybe I need to negotiate something during that time. Okay? And I had an agent really strongly push back on this in a class one day. And she said, oh no, I would lose some of my clients if I didn't answer my phone all the time. If I miss a call, she said, I lost a client because I didn't answer right away one time. And I got her to continue talking about this because I knew exactly what the issue was. And I finally got her to say it. She said, well, I lost the client because I set that expectation. Bingo, exactly. You set that expectation. You set the expectation that you constantly answer your phone. You'll never get a voicemail with me. I will always answer my phone. Okay. But when you're in an appointment with another client, I hope you are not going to answer the phone while you're in a listing appointment. Maybe she does. Maybe she says, oh, I'm so sorry, I've got to grab this call because it's another client. Okay, that wouldn't go over well with me if I was the person interviewing her for a listing appointment, because I want your undivided attention during our appointment time. To me, that's being disrespectful of my time. And as long as you set the correct expectations, you'll be fine. I'm going to tell the client in my listing appointment, I am always going to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. However, sometimes I'm in appointments just like this, or I'm on the phone negotiating your deal. And when I'm focused on those activities, I give you 100% of my attention. And I do that for my other clients as well. So if you get my voicemail, please leave me a message and follow up with a text, and I will answer you back ASAP, I promise. Okay? Set the expectations. That's it. But have some type of schedule that you follow. Now, twofold to the single page business plan is looking at your framework, your daily framework, and saying, these activities that I'm trying to complete according to my single page business plan, where do they fit in my framework of my day? Where, at what time of the day should I be completing these activities? That's really important for them to identify and have their day laid out very, very well. I love the quote, and I don't remember, I think it might be the Stephen Covey quote, and I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's Stephen Covey. The quote that you should not prioritize what's on your schedule. You should schedule your priorities. Okay? Don't prioritize what's already on your schedule. Schedule your priorities. If it's on my schedule, it's a priority and it needs to be done. That's the whole point. So encourage realtors to have some type of framework to their day. And I love on here, it shows that 6 p.m. is my family time. That's when my family time starts, and business calls stop at 6:30. Okay. I worked with a broker who he would set a timer on his watch that would go off 15 minutes before 6 p.m. And he said, I set this timer because when I set showing appointments, I tell them we have 3 to 6 for showings. I have to end promptly at 6 so that I can get to my next meeting or my next appointment. His next appointment was with his family, but it didn't matter. Nobody was going to know that. He has an appointment. My showings have to end at 6 p.m. sharp. So I'm just letting you know that because we can't add in additional showings along the way. We have to schedule those. Okay. His alarm goes off at 5:45. He says, oops, there we go. We've got 15 minutes. We got to wrap it up within the next 15 minutes so I can get to my next appointment on time. Okay. So encourage people to really look at this framework. It's important. All right. There you go. That is the end of class. And that's the end of part 2. Thanks for watching.